Why, hello, hi, it is me, this I. Yes, this is all happening in one day because I've got thoughts, okay? Um, yeah, okay. So, it is me, this I, Small Tandita, you're on the internet, and I'm back, as terug, yalla. Thank you so much for joining me. Please do like, share, comment, and subscribe. Let your people know about me, and thank you so much for getting me to 300 subscribers. Yay! Alright, you guys, I think I've dropped little not I think I've just outright said I am one of those people who's always had the influence of church in their life, right? You could say to a degree I was born to it. I think I've explained in the videos where I touch on the traditional stuff that my father's side of the family is very much into the more African spirituality things. We talk to our ancestors and stuff, and my mom's side is the Christian side. I was raised by my grandmother for the first 6 years of my life, so I did the Sunday school and stuff. That was my influence, and a heavy influence. And then I was shipped off to school after that, and obviously you're in these schools where Christianity is such a strong force, and it's just the way we do things. We say prayers and we do so that thing has always been there. And then I was in church in my teens. I did the youth stuff. I did the conferences, had a great deal of fun. Would not have that experience be anything else. I would still do it the same way. I was at a wedding not too long ago. And afterwards, I was sitting with a group of people who are mates with the person that I'm friends with. And we all got to talking, and one of the very pretty, by the way, like, oh my god, I really liked being around this group of people, only because they've established relationships, and I felt them work to include me because I'm the one who's not part of this established group. I felt them try to involve me, and it was a welcoming environment for me. Anyway, the point is, we were talking, and then one of the ladies brings up that, you know what, I've picked up on the internet that using God is such a trend right now, saying you're Christian or saying you found God. I'm like, wow, that is so interesting to me, because I guess our algorithms is feeding us what we already consume. I'm seeing that everybody going to be a traditional healer stuff, and she says that too. Then we got to the Blac Chyna conversation at the exact same time. I'm like, are you saying this because of the Blac Chyna stuff? You know, Blac Chyna is now rebranded to her government name, Angela White, I believe it is, and she's now saying she's a Christian and she's found God. And I tell us all this time, rebranding through Christianity, because to be honest, I get why she's going that route. Like, religious people, a certain kind of devotion requires a certain level of gullibility and naivete, and we can't run away from it, right? It requires a lot of ignoring of things. It requires a lot of blind faith of just saying. So Christians tend to be, or people of Abrahamic faiths really tend to be people that are easy to sell things on, like Trump getting in the White House, who easily said he ran as a Republican, right? Because a lot of their views are centered in all of that mess that also has some Christian elements to them and stuff. So people of Abrahamic faiths tend to be, the word is not forgiving, even though that's the word that they use. The word is gullible, but it's also, if they feel this is gonna serve the agenda, they'll run with it. If they feel like accepting Blac Chyna saying that she's now in this faith and she's walking in this way will get more hoes out the club, they'll run with it, you know? But that's neither here nor there. We got to talking about that and stuff. And so I want to have a chat with you guys today just about why I won't go back to the faith. And maybe we can unpack a little bit about how I came out of the faith. It wasn't that complicated. There wasn't a great revelation. I felt it happen gradually, and at some point I just owned it as, I don't believe this shit, and it's okay. And here are my reasons. My reasons is this shit is not adding up. And the moment I was, like I said, I was raised in it. So there wasn't a questioning of anything. I was just born into it, and this is what we do. We're Christian and we do this thing. And the moment your brain gets to turning and you can ask yourself relevant questions, I would say the disconnect happened for me. It's always been there. I think I've always asked things of, especially my church. We don't live the church is not situated very far from one of the poorest sections in my township, right? And it was always so bizarre to me that the church itself, it's in a residential area. It's an old church. I'm raised Lutheran, right? So you already fucking know, right? If you know, you know. Like, it's Catholic light, legit. Okay, so we are in a residential area. The church is old, and all the neighbors around that church don't go to that church. They all are living lifestyles I would have considered to be heathenist kind of ways at the time. You know, there's a lot of swearing, they're drinking. Some of them had traditional healers and things of that nature. And then the community that's not too far from there, I never ever experienced my church try to extend themselves as the house of the Lord to the people of that community, of that section rather, because they are part of the community at large. Extend themselves to that section to demonstrate this warmth and love and everything that we speak of. And the disconnect for me always came from how much money I saw us offering in the church. There's always a fucking fundraising for something. We're building this, we're building that. But there are people in that very church who probably didn't have food that day. There are people in that church where you would see that, oh my God, this person is trying their best to look put together and kept and neat, but you can tell those shoes are old. Nobody's offering to buy this person's shoes, right? I can count the one person that the church paid for to go to school, and they were studying theology, so it was to the benefit of the church as well. So these things always bothered me, even in my teen years, as to at what point does this church in particular, because that's the thing about like people of Abrahamic faiths and Christians in particular, right? They like to like make you separate faith and the church, and it's just your church. No, the faith is fucked. I actually don't want to get into what is this and what is that. How the church operates is very much informed by the faith. Okay, you wanting to make these things separate, wanting to divorce the capitalist nature that has infiltrated the church as a whole is ludicrous. It's stupid on the front and at the back of it, and you can't do it. Right? These huge buildings that you guys have where you congregate and you say you sing your praises and whatever it is that you do, but the church never feeds back into the community. There's a disconnect for a person like me who didn't, even in my teens, my brain could not compute why we never do for the community, but we go out to the community and look for donations to fund whatever youth thing we want to do. At no point do we as the youth say, hey, do we each have like $50 or something? Don't we want to do a soup whatever on Sunday? It's winter, and some of the kids, it's the holidays, they were relying on the feeding schemes at school, so a lot of them must be hungry right now. Surely that's how God shows up. Surely that's what love and care and compassion looks like, right? God is kind. God, surely those things, that's how they're supposed to show up, and they never did. They never did, and I never understood why. These are basic things. Before we get into everybody acting like they're such avid fucking readers, which you're not, none of you are, and everybody's telling us about, oh, you never spend enough time with the word. Why must I spend that much time with the word when I'm telling you that what I'm reading is not resonating because I'm not seeing it in practice? How much more do I need to fucking read before this shit starts to look legit? Like, what are you talking about? What even is this, right? And then I leave home, I go to varsity, I'm still holding on to remnants of my faith because this is what I know. And maybe to a degree, if I put myself back in that position, the idea of leaving my faith was scary because what is this great unknown? You almost use it as you're holding on to this thing because you're like, what else is there? If I let go of this and then I'm in trouble, then what else? And then you let go of it, and then you realize that, oh, when shit fucks out, you show up for you and you fix it because it's always been you. It's always been you. It's always been people around you. It's never the fucking prayer. That's that stuff where you're not on purpose praying less. You're just, because you're faking it, you find yourself just doing it less. You pray less because you're faking it, right? So you forget to do it because you're faking at this point. So you do it less, and the less you do it, the more when things go awry, as is life, you just find the solution for them, right? Or it is what it is, and you learn your lessons from them and you move. But you no longer have this need of, I'm gonna pray about it and then God is gonna see me through. Then you're like, do I need this thing? And the answer is no. For me, the answer was no. I am not in the business of, and I said this in a video, I just posted a video on Nonko, because the Christians get very defensive, which is weird to me. The Christian Nonko Williams on Real Housewives of Durban weaponizes God, her relationship with God and the word, because she's cracked the code, and she's not smart enough to realize that it's her cracking the code. No. But she knows that you can manipulate people by just saying God. That much she's figured out, right? You can just say God fights for me or God this, because the word, that book itself, was used to manipulate us into so many other things, right? Right? Was it not? So I shared this, and I also shared that I'm really not interested. I don't even know what fucking comments people left on there, because I don't care to engage Christians. A lot of you lack critical thinking around this topic. Like, you can analyze anything else and show up in a critical manner, bright. The moment this needs to happen, all rationale goes out the window. And because I'm not interested in having somebody else deconstruct their faith, because it's hard, I don't necessarily want anybody to go through having to do that, and they aren't coming at it in their own time. I'm not in the business of trying to talk people out of their faith. I understand what faith is, what it does for you when you're in it, how it's soothing, all of that. I'm not interested in ripping the rug from under anybody. I was led to maneuver and find my way and come to this space by my own. So I'm not interested in, pushing somebody into where I'm at or what my beliefs are. I'm simply just not interested in that. I feel like to each his own. There's some comfort you're getting there. It's making sense to you right now, and great, right? In as far as I feel it's not causing harm, which Christianity causes a great deal of harm, right? In all manner of ways, we can unpack it. In how it teaches women how to behave, in how sexist it is, and blah, blah, blah. And we can go on and we can go on. And the conversations turn so much intellectual and turn so much into like factual kind of things, and breaking down of, this scripture says this. This is the characteristics of a narcissist, which is what the Christian God is. He's such a fuckboy. I don't care. I actually don't care how you feel about that. That's literally where I am with this. Some of the things in that book you would not put up with from anybody else, but you manage to rationalize them on account of, it's about feelings, that thing we don't understand, which is feelings, right? What you feel when you're in prayer, right? The idea that you sort of all, when the players are on the field or the singers are on the stage, and they feel like you've just left it all on the stage. When you pray and you say your piece, and you're naked and you're vulnerable and you are just there laying it all, and I've experienced that feeling. No amount of you trying to make the conversation an intellectual one can break somebody away from the fact that when a hymn comes on, it feels like a warm hug, and it's so soothing, and it's so, the feeling that they're experiencing is why people stay in faith. And that's why I'm not interested in being the person to say, hey, let's deconstruct this, because it's not an intellectual debate. It's not. Like, and the more you make it that, I watch it all the time online where people are trying to break down verses and try to explain to people that this and that. If this is where I am finding my rest, if this is where I feel my most safe, I will rationalize why I'm going there in the same manner we rationalize being in abusive relationships, which is what this dynamic is with this particular God, right? The constant fear, so fucking punitive. The fear of hell and getting things wrong. How are people who are bright, captains of industries, bright men and women, people of all genders, right, in serious positions, understanding complex issues, solving problems on everyday basis, how have they not come to a decision where they're like, but if the scripture says only X number of people make it in heaven, where the rest of us gonna go? We're in the billions. This dude said X number. You understand? It's like, then you know it's not about an intellectual conversation. It's a feeling. And we don't have a great understanding over that, right? So there's no amount of, I'm really not interested in the chat, you guys. I'm not interested in this chat of trying to make people see reason. It does nothing. It's doing nothing. People will come into their own things at their own time. And we must make room and respect people's journeys, and also respect that they probably might never see things the way that you see them. And we need to find ways to be respectful of each other's journeys and all of that, in as long as it doesn't feel like it's destructive. And it's like turking on the fence a little bit, and I can cop to that. You know, I think maybe I do a lot of it to preserve some of the strong relationships that I have in my life. Also, my mom still goes to church and things of that nature. When we reduce it to intellect, I feel like we end up insulting each other and insulting the people that we love. And it's not helpful. It's not helpful at all. I love where I am. I mentioned to this lady that I'm telling you about who brought this up that I don't miss God. And that's telling. I think I've said this on here as well. The fact that I've had such a tough time, and at no point did I think, let me speak to God. I miss God at this particular moment. It's telling. It's telling, you guys, and I can't make like it isn't. I don't miss God. I don't miss church. I still don't regret my time in the church. The old gospel music that I have on my phone, I still have. I still love the music. Emmanuel from Joyous 3 is one of my favorite songs to date. Like, I play that song on a Sunday with my R&B. It's so, I hum hymns when I'm baking. I sat back here with a friend of mine and we were singing hymns one day, and my parents' room is right here. So my mom, did she text him? She texted him or called him, one of us, I think probably him, and she was like, you guys just need to go to church tomorrow. You clearly miss it. I don't miss it enough to go back. There's a nostalgia about it. We had a hymn. My grandmother would sing us a hymn before we went to bed. It's still my brother's favorite hymn. It's also, funny enough, a funeral hymn. But it's such a soothing hymn, and there's that memory of her wrapped in it for me, in that she wanted me to feel safe and know that this entity, this God that we believed in at the time, it will be with me and will see me through the night, and we'll see each other in the morning. It's wrapped in that, and I love that for me, and I want to keep that for me. It wasn't to harm me. She thought she was doing the best for me, and she was. I had that of her. That is my grandmother communicating that affection to me. I wouldn't want to have that any other way. I'm glad for my journey. I'm glad for where I'm at, but I will not impose where I am on other people. I'll share where I am. I'll share my confusions, but I'm never trying to sit across from you and say, no, but think about it. Really think about it. If God loved you, like, no, for fucking what? For what? That's it, Chella. Bye.